Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a special emergency second episode of the week podcast. We don't do that very often, but the stakes are great, and that's why we're here. Nutsy's here. We've brought in the big guns to continue yesterday's discussion with Scan, Julian, and Drew about what the heck is going on in this game. So, Nutsy, sir, the floor is yours. You can kick us off. You know the drill here and how this works at this point. So,
Yeah. First of all, as always, thanks for having me. I
of course,
enjoy coming on, enjoy your content so much, and your community is really nice to engage with. So
yes.
I always appreciate that. Honestly, I was ready when you first reached out to me. You reached out to me on Wednesday after the past pipeline program and
Mhm.
past pipeline content. And I was ready to burn it to the ground, bro. I was ready to burn it to the ground. Just that content drop coupled with a few other ones that we've gotten this year, very, very frustrated.
Yes.
And then they bounced back in a way that I'm not sure I expected them to bounce back on Friday with
They
what I
did.
would consider a very, very good content drop, along with some changes made to how the content worked and how the collections work
Hmm.
that I think alleviated some of the concerns, specifically around the retro, like spotlight person, the
Yeah.
retro lightning person. Those changes are really really good, and it made Bryce Harper, I think, a lot more attainable for a lot of people. But with all of that being said, I am frustrated with the content structure this year, just specifically based on how many of the mini collections we are getting. Now, the mini collections have been pretty hit or miss in how they're set up, at least in my opinion, so far this year. Because you have ones like the Easter collection,
Hmm.
which I thought was incredibly attainable for
Yep.
virtually everyone that wanted to finish it.
Not
They
bad.
specifically made you not have to lock in Jorge Polanco, the special insert card, which made that collection a breeze to finish. The NGL collection to get John Donaldson,
Easy.
super, super easy to do. If you wanted it day one, you had to be a World Series player. Fair enough. But then a week later or 10 days later, they
Hmm.
made it so you could get the collection completely for free without needing the inning boss, the World Series reward, all that kind of stuff. The last two mini collections we've gotten, both the past pipeline as well as
Moonshot.
Moonshot, yes, requiring you to lock in one of the special inserts or chase cards has taken the mini collections from being kind of fun, grindable content to being something that is difficult to attain for a majority of the community,
Yeah.
especially when you consider we've gotten eight of them already. We're getting a ninth one this Friday with another 30 cards, and you have people trying to finish Scott Rowland and live series on top of it.
And
And
spotlights
yeah, and the live series collection is the most expensive it's ever been
a
by
lot,
far.
by a lot.
So what you're doing as a company is asking the community to shell out far, far too many stubs, and then in the middle of it, take the action of taking away the easiest way to grind out stubs that people had. So I that all is very, very frustrating. But what I will say is I feel like for me personally, and I saw your video on it and you were kind of aligned with me on it. I thought the Color Storm content drop was
Awesome.
pretty solid. Like
Loved it.
I think the cards were better than people were giving them credit for.
Hmm.
I thought there was a lot of cards that could find places on people's teams. And then they bounced back this Friday with, I think, a very good content drop. While I'm frustrated about the high price of the collection that dropped this Friday, realistically, I think the content as a whole, especially between the free cards dropped and the paid cards that dropped, was fantastic. That James Wood
It's
is
really good.
really, really good.
Yeah.
And so now I'm kind of at a place where I'm like, how are we having these ebbs and flows like roller coaster content drops? Like they know how to put out good content. I know they know how to put out good content because they've done it uh,
They
of
have.
a bunch of times this year. They put out very very good manageable content. I don't know what keeps happening on those days we don't get good content.
Yeah. A lot of guys, what we talk about today may be a little repetitive from yesterday's video, and that's okay because the conversation's going to end up at a different spot than that one did. But the big thing I tried to drive home yesterday that everybody seemed to be in agreement on, and I don't know why you wouldn't be, the common, um, what's the word I'm looking for? the common pushback on an opinion like what we're having right now is, what, you just want everything given to you? I am mean. I'm not asking for all the free stuff to be handed to me. I'm asking for two things. Give me a chance at getting the cool stuff. Make the packs more available. Don't put everything behind chase packs, whatever. And then secondly, I just want the floor of the free cards to be raised. Free
Hmm.
cards, if they're going to be worse than pack cards, I can live with that. I just can't have it be in the same program 95 Vladimir Guerrero and 88 Austin Hedges. That is a gap that should not exist. And then in a power creep where we're in June, we should not be given any free cards less than 90 at this point. So you're already giving us trash cards that suck on their own, and then in the context of the game's place, they suck even worse. So I just need the relationship between the best cards that I have to pay for, which I'm okay with if they're the best cards. Willie Castro, he's worth it. Guerrero, probably worth it. I just don't have him yet. All those guys are worth it. Austin Hedges, even at 3,000 stubs, he isn't worth shit other than binder fodder. There's
Yeah.
no reason for him to exist. So
And
that's my biggest gripe.
and specifically on that past pipeline program and content drop, which makes it so frustrating, is 97% of the cards in that drop are collection fodder. Like there's
They're
like
all bad.
four usable cards, and
Yeah.
especially for most people and where their teams are at this juncture. And a little bit of a frustrating pushback that I have on that is like, when I say I want the free cards to be better and there to be more grindable methods to get to the good cards, that is an argument I am making for the average player. I am not the
Mhm.
average player. I make content around this game. I play it way more than your average person plays it. When a new card comes out that I really want or I want to make content with, I'm gonna drop $100 to buy some stubs and get the card. And that I'm actively taking a stance that is against my own interest, because it would be better if I could have cards and other
Mhm.
people couldn't have cards, obviously. But I just don't think that that's good for the longevity or the fun of the game.
Yeah.
I want more people to be playing this game longer so we have more engagement and more fun throughout the year, instead of what we've had the last couple of years where everything kind of flames out early in the year and then we're all kind of stuck twiddling our thumbs because people just don't care about the game, which is
Mhm.
not, it's not fun to be a part of a community where people are just straight checked out on the game.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think that the good cards can be in packs and the good cards can be in collections, and that's completely fine. What I would request is two things. One, raise the floor on
Just a little
the
bit.
the
Just
free
bring it
cards.
up a little bit.
And they did
Stop
it.
durability nerfing the
Yeah.
free cards. That's it.
James Wood is sick, and I would argue that that card is on close to par with the collection cards and
But that's an
and the chase
outlier.
flat. Exactly. But the other aspect is exactly what you said as well. Um, the free cards need to be better, and then realistically there needs to be a more grindable method to get to the collections. I don't I didn't buy MLB The Show to just go out there and play Diamond Quest 900 times to
As fun
get
as it is.
10,000 stubs per piece. I didn't buy MLB The Show to be a market simulator. I don't want to be Davey day trader doing buy
Mhm.
or flipping all day every
Just
day, or
penny
doing
stocks.
investments every day all day. I want there to be more grindable methods to get the collections done, and I think the perfect example of that is the NGL collection.
Mhm.
Like that collection, it had a bunch of different ways for you to go out and get the cards. It was still hard to finish. You had to do your work. You had to finish everything you needed to finish to be able to get the card. So it felt rewarding when you got the card. You got a very good card in John Donaldson, but you didn't have to just, at the end of the day, I don't want this game to just turn into exchange stubs, get good card. And that's where we're at right now. It's exchange stubs,
Yeah.
get good card. Exchange stubs, get good card. It's not play the game, grind the game, get good card.
Yeah. We named, how every MLB The Show ends up having like a funny name, like MLB The Late Hit 24 or whatever that. This is MLB The Collection 25.
Yep.
Um, the comparison I'd like to make, we talked about it already, is Moonshot versus Pipeline Pest.
Mhm.
They're common in that, yes, you had to have a special insert card, which is not good. But in terms of the cards that were given to us, free or otherwise, when the Moonshot program came out and the Moonshot collection came out, the special packs and whatnot, I was like, you know what? I can see the vision here. And I actually thought it was a refreshing admission by the MLB The Show content team saying, we know contact oriented hitters don't work. Let's give Tony Gwynn a bunch of pop.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, he was on my God Squad for several weeks. A fun card. Almost all the cards that came out, like Jock Peterson's always going to have power. That Harrison Bader kind of raked. The Brian Roberts, everyone likes Brian Roberts cards. All these guys that don't normally have real power, they were given power and they were awesome. Luis Ariz. This Luis Ariz is crazy good, and people just didn't give him a chance because of his fielding, and he's a first baseman, whatever. You give some of these guys with slappy swings power, and good things happen. So I thought that was an admission, a little bit, by the MLB The Show team saying, we know our hitting engine caters to power. But then you get the pipeline programs. And specifically, where the hell is this guy? 89 Jose Iglesias, a waste of a card, high contact, 50 and 47 power, and he is literally useless. So what happened? Did two separate groups of people work on these programs? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, and another thing that I've heard a lot of people say is like, well, you guys wanted the power creep back, and this is the power creep. It's not. And you know how I know it's not the power creeps issue? It's because of the Moonshot content drop. Like
It was awesome.
If you make well created, well balanced, well thought out cards, the cards will play at any overall. Like overall in MLB The Show is overrated as it is, because and I've been saying this, 93 Willie Castro, dead ass, is an endgame card.
He's
Like
a top right now. It's Beltran. And then you can make the argument between him, Hodges, and Roland for the next best card.
Like that card is a 93 overall, and that card will be people's shortstop until we get like the beefy of beefy 99s. Last year, that 84 Willie Castro that we got in BR was
awesome.
in people's God squads with 99 overall cards. So this is not an issue with power creep. It's an issue with intentionally manipulating cards to make the cards not as good as the cards they're putting in packs or putting in collections. And like I said, I don't want this to just straight devolve into me crapping on the game, because I'm tired of hearing the all you do is complain or you're a SDS shill. I can't ever figure out which
such
one I
two
am.
opposite ends of the spectrum. You can't be both at once.
Yeah, and but especially when they bounce back with such a good content drop on Friday, like a content drop I legitimately enjoyed.
It arguably makes it more frustrating.
Yeah. We got weekend classic cards that I think at least are better than the ones we've gotten up to this year. I think Devin Williams is going to be in virtually everyone's bullpen.
Julian made a good point yesterday that Grady Sizemore is basically just Walker Jenkins, and that's a little upsetting. But listen, that Devin Williams is a usable, worthwhile, will be in bullpens card.
Yeah, and so you're right. It does make when we get the good content drops, the highs of Moonshot and the at least how to complete the NGL collection and the color storm,
the Easter egg.
It makes the lows even more frustrating, because you're like, I've seen you do good. I've seen you put out great, engageable, fun content that the community kind of universally loves. What is happening when you do it?
And there's no world, we're not expecting every content drop to be perfect. That's impossible. SDS has shown the ability to give us a close to perfect drop, like we just talked about. But we just, kind of like I need the floor to be raised on the shit cards, I need the floor to be raised on the consistency of these drops.
Oh, and I'm focusing, oh my God, I'm focusing so much on the past pipeline drop, which really was a culmination of like, what are you guys doing? Why are you putting out content like this? I completely neglected to talk about the bullshit Lou Garrett program.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that yet. We mentioned it a little bit yesterday, how he's like a quirk-driven card versus an attribute-driven card. But yeah, that was, I mean, Lou Garrett gets shafted more than any legend in this game, it feels like.
He does, and when you put out a card that, like, I was posting comparisons on Twitter after that content dropped.
Oh, I saw the Wilmer Flores one. That was my favorite one.
He is 87 Michael Busch. Like, and you have an 87 overall card and a 92 overall card, and they're virtually the same attributes across the board with slight changes here and there.
Yeah.
Like, that especially when you were dropping a card that is specifically for someone's game. It would be like us getting a trash Jackie Robinson card on Jackie Robinson Day or a trash Roberto Clemente card on Roberto Clemente Day. Like, if
Hmm.
you were going to drop a whole program celebrating one player, then celebrate the player.
Yeah, especially someone who like it's I swear to God, this is not just Yankee bias. Like Lou Gehrig is up there with the Roberto Clementes of the world in
Hmm.
terms of their legendary impact and
Yes,
what they meant to the sport. Like
totally.
you roll out the red carpet for these guys. Listen, Jackie Robinson's a very different social situation. I'm not
Mhm.
trying to compare the two. Let me just make that clear. But like, they have Major League Baseball implications, and the red
Yep.
carpet is rolled out for them. Let's treat them like what they are, and they're like luminaries in the sport. Let's make these
Yeah.
cards usable. Like I want that Roberto Clemente Moonshot card was more of a victim of time and place than it was the card build itself. It
Oh
was
yeah. No,
built
no.
all right.
Yeah.
There were just other options. But like when you give us Jackie Robinson Day, give us a Jackie that's going to be on teams. When you give us Lou
Yeah.
Gehrig Day, give us a Lou Gehrig that's at least competitive to be on teams.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really just boils down to I don't understand why there are such ebbs and flows, and the roller coaster of content has been up and down the way that it has been this year.
Is it
Um,
possible that there are different content? I know Chev likes to say, and
yeah,
this is
Chev
not a
is
call out of Chev, but there's got to be multiple teams of people working on this stuff.
yeah, and you would think here's the thing though, if that is the case, you would, and I'm sure there is multiple people working on different content drops. Like I can't imagine the exact same team puts out every single
It's not like
content
there's
drop.
just two or three people doing everything.
Yeah.
Like there have to
So,
be different things.
but you would think that there was some sort of oversight to be like,
Like one person who ultimately
yeah,
hits the button.
yeah, and
Mhm.
I SDS is not is not deaf to the community. It's not a situation where, and I know people like to crush on the live shows that they have how about how they're like just hyping up every single card and the rest of the
They're a
community is like
marketing team,
that's their
guys.
job.
Think
Yeah,
about how
like
it works.
that's exactly what they put out there to be like, here's this content that you should be excited
It
about. So
would be
I'm not gonna.
exactly like if you at your job were working in product or something, and then you went on the road and told everybody don't buy it. You
Yeah,
can't do that. It's the
no,
same concept.
but I do wonder like there is no way someone was creating Austin Hedges or Jose Iglesias or some other card that was in
87
the top.
Jonathan India in
Yeah,
June.
yeah. And there was not someone that was like, oh, the community is going to be hyped about this. I feel like
Zero.
there's content drops where like, oh, no, the community is going to be really excited about this. When they're putting out, they're like, oh, this we got this one.
Mm-hmm.
We crushed this one. There's no way they're looking at those cards and being like, oh yeah, the community is going to eat this up.
So it comes to where, we talk or we can talk about how durability is obviously an inflation stat or attribute. I hate calling it a stat. Um, but I think the other thing we need to start having a discussion about, and I don't know how the relationship would work, but I almost think fielding and speed need to not count towards player overalls or need to count much less. Like that does increase the value of a card. It's why P. Crow Armstrong is P. Crow Armstrong, and he is the definition of a five-tool player in real life this year. But P. Crow Armstrong, as an offensive card, as good as he is terrible compared to other guys in that similar range.
Yeah, the only issue I have with that is like I really do bounce back and forth between wanting MLB The Show Diamond Dynasty to be somewhat realistic catered and bouncing back to like, nah, throw caution to the wind and let's just have a
Mm-hmm.
blast
Just
here.
let it rip.
And there are positions where fielding just has to matter. And being a good fielder is determinative of being a good player. And there's three really that I think of, although one of them does not work the way it should in MLB The Show. Catcher, shortstop, and center field.
And
Like
catcher
those
is
are
the
the
one that
three
doesn't work. Yeah.
those are the three positions where it's like I will sacrifice some offensive ability to have a card that will make plays
Yeah.
that I need them
And
to
that
play.
is why until I got Corey Seager, I've been exclusively running Bobby Wood at
Me
shortstop.
too. Yeah, I was the exact same way. And I tried Tovar for a little bit actually. I like Tovar a lot. I like
Mm-hmm.
that the Tovar card a lot. But now we're hitting the point where like the offensive metrics of some of the shortstops we got are so much better than the defense that's like, okay, well, I can't keep
Yeah. And I
Bobby
still
Witt was
have
a
Bobby Wood on my bench to come
yeah.
in late innings for defense.
But Bobby Witt was a free out for me. When I got to the 9 hole in my lineup, I was like, oh, I can just that's it. I had
Yeah.
runners in scoring position, and I'm like, all right, well, this is going to be the end of the inning.
We'll try our best.
But Yeah, I mean, realistically, I do want the fielding to matter at some positions. Although I do know, based on how they build cards, certain positions do have fielding
Yeah,
weighted
the
differently.
first
So like
baseman
first base,
doesn't
exactly.
matter as much.
A
Corner
first base,
outfield, not as much.
yeah, first base can have really, really good fielding attributes and they can still juice the hitting because it doesn't matter as much in the overall calculation. One thing I do think that I maybe we are seeing some of the ramifications of, and I haven't had or seen many people talk about it, is some of the reason we are getting all of these various like kind of collection filter binder filler cards is to fill out theme teams. And
And that's
Catherine,
okay, but you can still make them better.
yeah, we argued about this during MLB The Show 23 and MLB The Show 24. It feels like we are once again manipulating overalls and manipulating attributes so a card fits well in a theme team.
Mhm.
And I don't want that to be the case. I want cards, I want theme teams to be like the topper you put on a really good pizza. Like I throw some fresh basil on there after the underlying pizza is really good. I want the card itself to be good on its face, and then you can throw it on a theme team, and
Mhm.
that'll make it like perfect, right? And that doesn't feel like it's happening right now.
Yeah, you know, it is hard. Let me rephrase that. Let me start over. I feel like we as a community definitely do a lot of complaining, negative speak. Um, we are as a community, as most communities are, reactionary, and I get that. And we live in the now versus the what's happened before. I would like to say that largely I've had a very pleasant MLB The Show 25 experience. The online gameplay has either slightly gotten better since launch or I've become desensitized to its poopiness. So, like, I expect things to happen when they happen. I've been okay. I do still think there's less server strength with 3 inning modes. BR and
Hmm.
events feel like absolute cat piss compared to ranked. But like, when the collections are going okay or when the content is at least neutral, I'm enjoying my experience. It has not
Yeah,
been a bad game. It has just become a marketplace and stub ecosystem that's a little unfriendly
yeah,
or
and
very unfriendly.
I will say pretty easily that even with the gameplay issues, and I think part of the gameplay issues sort of resolving themselves is the fact we are getting higher attributes at this point.
Possibly.
So like yeah, like the Exavelos are coming up, the contact is coming up. Pitching it still way destroys the hitting
Mhm.
in the game, but I mean what it is
Not
what
if
it
you
is.
pitch
I'm not
Tarek Skubal. Check out Thursday's video, guys.
that's true. That's I've heard that a lot, but um realistically like I think that this game is the best MLB The Show that I have played since MLB The Show 21. Like as far as the amount that I am enjoying a game, this game is the third best game for me since 2020. I go 2020, then 2021, then MLB The Show 25. So even though I'm kind of coming in today and like kind of explaining things that I don't like about the game, there's a lot that I have enjoyed about this game. There's a lot. I've played it more probably than any game since 21. Um, so realistically, like don't take my negative feedback as a 100% guarantee on how I am feeling about the overall game because I am enjoying the overall game. I just want these minor things to be ironed out, and I'm worried if they don't get ironed out, they're going to snowball on themselves, and we're going to have a really, really bad situation on our
And
hands.
the big elephant in the room to talk about, and it's something that we do not have the answer to, or at least if you do have the answer to it, you probably can't talk about it publicly because I know you have your SDS connects. Um, where is the mandate coming from to pack lock? Not pack lock. Again, packs are good. We are okay with packs as long as the cards in them are good. But is the mandate coming from Mr. Sony saying, hey, we've had some failed game launches. You need to do this? Or are they just trying a game direction that is really falling on its face?
It has to be from above.
It's got to be
Like
Mr. Sony.
I don't there's no way that the people that I have talked to at SDS, the people I know at SDS are intentionally making a game that either
Is less
preys on their
accessible.
community base or will push people away
Yeah.
with things going how they're going. Like you can't look at MLB The Show 21 and 20 and look at MLB The Show 25, those are virtually the same dev teams. Like there's some interchange. There's
Mhm.
nothing. I can't believe that all of a sudden the same people who worked on MLB The Show 20 and 21 and lived and died by the grind 99 mantra have all of a sudden decided how much money can I make on this
Well,
game.
I think the internal argument they need to have with themselves, and maybe they've already had it, or they've tried to have it and been pushed back by Mr. and Mrs. Sony. You know, let's take 2021 22, for example. Gameplay notwithstanding, strictly talking content structure. It was a friendly player environment in those years. So you probably kept a player base a lot longer because the content stayed fun, even during the power creep. So do you want to have an environment where the player base stays on longer? Or do you want to have a player base like the last 2 years where they just hit you over the head with stuff you got to spend money on in the first 4 months of the game, and then the player base evaporates? Which one of those situations makes you more money?
Well, one thing that I do think that maybe, and this is pure speculation on my part, there's no
All
one
of
that
this is
has
pure
voiced these,
speculation, friends. All of it.
but I think there was a shift between April and May. I think that April we saw a lot of content that was reminiscent of MLB The Show 20 and 21,
Mm-hmm.
that it was like just grind and you will get the cards. Just grind and you will get fun usable cards and you're going to enjoy yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then May hit. And all of a sudden, we started getting these special inserts, and we started getting the requirement that special inserts go into the packs, and we started getting, or into the collections, and we started getting free cards that weren't as good as the cards that were in chase packs. Especially when you look at the first couple of chase packs, like the Rob Dibble, Hank Aaron, like
No one cared
no
about
no one
those.
cared about those cards. They were just chase cards, right? And the prices reflected that. I am wondering if there was a conversation that was had after the first month. They saw the profits, they saw what came in, and they were like, it's not that's not
This
going
ain't
to cut it.
enough. Yeah.
Not going to cut it. I think that going into the year, I wonder if they thought that everyone having to purchase the game would compensate for
Mm,
making the content a little bit more
that's a good
accessible
point.
and a little bit better. And then after that month of April, they realized not the case. We need the microtransactions to
Yeah.
come
Because
up.
it is, and again, we talked about this yesterday too. The chase packs since really those two have been, and the collections. Um, it's a aggressive word, and maybe it's not the perfect word, but they have felt very predatory. They really have. Like, we know your favorite players in this game. We know your favorite swings. We're gonna make all of them so expensive, it's gonna hurt you.
Yep.
And
And I
then you
mean,
couple that with, and we've danced around this a little bit, the weekly stub tax of the Spotlight and Tops Now
mhm.
stuff,
Oh
which
God.
it's so frustrating. Like, they have made it a very unwelcome environment. The other thing I've considered, I wonder if they look at the end of the year to see how many stubs people end the previous game with, and they're like, oh, those could have been spent on something.
Yeah.
Let's make them spend them more.
Yeah. I there has not been a single piece of content that has been nuked over the last handful of years than monthly awards, or
Mm-hmm.
our monthly program.
Whatever the hell it's
That
called now.
was something that the community
Mm-hmm.
absolutely looked
It was
forward
peak.
to. It was the most exciting time every month to jump on and get a Lightning Cody Bellinger, or a Lightning Fernando Tatis, or a Lightning Kyle Schwarber, and all of those cards banged, and those programs banged, and they were set up awesome,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone was excited to grind them in MLB The Show 20 and 21 and 22. And then they started changing it in 23. 24s was an issue, and somehow it has gotten even worse this year. Like,
Yeah.
the spotlight is a weekly jump on and grind for a card that I am never going to use, and hope that the lightning card at the end of the month is
Well,
okay.
and then even the lightning card is always going to be worse than the
Yeah.
retro lightning card,
And
which
then
is more expensive.
enjoy, because guess what? Not only on top of that, you're going to have to spend 80 to 100,000 stubs every single week to buy the two spotlight players, so you can lock that into the
Yep.
spotlight collection at the end of the month. And I have not been as angry at a single piece of content that they dropped this season. There has been no piece of content that I've been as angry about as the Carlos Santana retro
Mm-hmm.
spotlight drop, or the retro lightning drop. That was a kick in the nuts. Like, you are going to require me to have every single card in the pack, the spotlight packs, every single one of them. The earlier collection card, the Eugenio Suarez, isn't even going to count as a
Nope.
card in the collection. You're not going to allow me to skip a single one.
And
It's
the
for
last drop is 5 cards instead of 2, or 4 cards
yeah,
instead of 2, whatever it is.
and the card is only a 92 overall. So
Yeah.
you're making me
Mm-hmm.
spend 100 and or 650,000 stubs to lock in cards for a 92 overall that, although Santana's probably going to be my catcher for a long time unless we get some nasty legend and flashback catcher like an Adley Rushman or something this week. That was I was so livid
Mm-hmm.
at that. Like I was so livid. That is quite possibly the most predatory action that I have ever seen that company take.
And
Like,
yeah, I hate to poo-poo the Bryce Harper positivity because it was a good shift in the vacuum of acquiring Bryce Harper.
mhm,
Guess what? For the Friday collection, you will still need all those other spotlight guys you did
yep,
not buy to get Bryce Harper. So
yep,
just be mindful of that. That doesn't change the calculus on Harper, but you still need them.
yeah, and
Probably.
dude, I think that the requirements for Roland, as far as day one requirements for Roland, shocked a lot of people because
They
it was
I did a
probably
video 2 3 days prior, like I'm pretty confident these are going to be the suggestions, and I was off bad,
yeah, it was
bad.
by far the most percentage of cards you needed for a Legend and Flashback collection that we had ever seen,
Mm-hmm.
and I am terrified of what's coming this Friday because we haven't really touched on it all that much, but we're getting another 30 card collection after getting two other 30 card collections in the last 10 days and the Retro Lightning collection in the
Mm-hmm.
last 10 days. And all of those are going to be requirements to unlock this
Probably.
Legend and Flashback.
The only saving grace is that when they've done, or possible saving grace, when they've done 30 card drops this year, Jolt and Color Storm are different because they're team affinity. You've never needed all of them for the voucher, but again, that's because they're team affinity and they're more passive. So I am genuinely curious what the structure of that'll look like. Like maybe there's a world where 20 of them gets you the voucher, but 30 gets you like a Wumbo card. I don't know. But yeah, it's just like I know a collection isn't content, but why can't Friday just be a big Legends and Flashbacks collection and then save this 30 card drop for the following week?
Yeah. No, I think that
Just space it out.
that should be the case. Like dropping multiple collections on the same day when you've already dropped a bunch of collections in the prior week to 10 days makes for a very frustrating situation. And I do feel for the average MLB The Show player that feels like they're just having waves wash over them on
Mm-hmm.
expectation of spending stubs and finishing collections. Like if you were to log on today and look at the collection requirements for Scott Rowland, or if you were to log in on Friday for the first time and see the legend or the collection requirements for the Legend and Flashback collection we get on Friday, there's a real chance that you're like, I'm never going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
People are already feeling that way about the live series collection because I mean we can talk about the live series prices too, but man, this is like it's overwhelming the amount of like stubs you have to push out
Mm-hmm.
to get the high tier cards. Like it is
It's bad.
overwhelming.
Well, I've
And that
decided that the live series problem comes from it's not changed pack odds because they legally can't lie about that because that's a big fat no no.
Mhm.
I think the player pool of cards you can pull, all these 47 overall faceless commons, are
Mhm.
actually hurting the odds a significant amount. And we need to start streamlining what cards can be available in standard packs. Like either you have to be on a 40-man roster, these 47 overalls shouldn't even be in the game, let alone available in packs. Like I think those are actually hurting the odds more than anything else.
Yeah, I have twofold. I think that there is a part of the Legend or the live series collection being so expensive that is SDS's fault, and I think there's a big portion of the live series collection being the way that is actually our fault.
Mm. Do
We
tell.
so first on the SDS side of things, the amount of non-live series cards that you pull out of the packs, I think not so much the 47 overall faceless cards. I actually think it's like the Moonshot cards and
Oh,
the other
like
like
pulling an
diamonds that you
Easter
can
egg
pull.
card as your diamond.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're not there's less people pulling a 91 overall or 92 overall Shohei and more people pulling a 92 overall Schwarber,
I pulled a
right?
Rendon the other day. There's my
So yeah,
92. So
you're
yeah.
gonna that's technically a 90 plus pull, but realistically, you just took away your opportunity to pull a
Hmm.
one of the other 90 plus live series cards
Yeah.
in its place. So that's what on one hand, I do think that there might be a little bit less supply due to not only being live series cards and packs. Our aspect of things, there has never been a time where it's been easier to guarantee making stubs than the inclusion of Diamond Quest. And I know a lot of people are taking advantage of that to gain stubs.
Hmm.
So, as a community, as a whole, we have more stubs because of Diamond Quest and because the amount of videos and the amount of people who are trying it. We've never had situations where it's people know how to flip stubs as well and
Hmm.
people know how to invest as well. So what I think we're seeing is a lot of people have more stubs than they have previously had in the past, and that's causing the live series prices to go up, along with the fact that maybe some of those Shohei Aaron Judges are being pulled less often than normal.
Yeah.
Um,
And all those people with a lot of stub bankrolls, it's like, let's call it the 5% of people who either A, can invest the time, or B, have the knowledge to do it. There is a large gap between the people who do that religiously and your casual player or your player who's just not as knowledgeable. Like that gap is wider than it's ever been at the
mhm.
same time.
Yep,
So
and
it's
that's
it's unfortunate.
yeah. So I mean, the long and short of it, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated. I I think that they took good steps on Friday, and I can keep putting out videos that say I think they took good steps on Friday, and then they can come back and slap me in the face by doing the exact same thing that I just gave them kudos for the
Mm-hmm.
following week. And that's kind of the roller coaster and the frustration that I have is just like I know you can put out good content. I've seen you put out good content. Why are we getting bad content?
Yeah. I almost think too. I I don't think SDS. Well, clearly SDS doesn't cater every drop to every person. Every card is not meant for every player. There's a small baby in the background. Hi, small baby. But like, I wonder if the intention of SDS's content teams is just to create so much different types of content that someone's pleased by it, and there are plenty of people who don't feel the need to play every type of content themselves. So they're just hoping to throw enough darts that people get pleased by it. I don't know if that's a good content strategy, but that also could be the case. Um, I'd like it not to be though.
Yeah, and I think that realistically, it very likely could be the case. And I do think that to a certain extent, us as content creators and us for the people who engage with us as content creators, um, we are we're if you are engaging with content creation and if you're engaging with people who create content on this game, you are very likely not the average player.
Very
So,
likely not.
someone who is not plugged into Twitter, someone who's not watching you or me, they're going to jump on the game and maybe their experience is just completely different and maybe it's actually you and I that are in an echo chamber and we're bouncing this back and forth off of each other and the casual player is like, oh no, this is completely awesome, that Lou Gehrig they dropped, that's sick, that's my first baseman, let's go, I have a new starter on my team. And that there could be a disconnect there and it could be ultimately that you and I are wrong,
Mm-hmm.
which is totally a possibility, but I feel like it's not likely the case. And I mean, I'll do the plug for you here. If that is your experience, please put it down in the comments below because
Please,
I am always open to
please.
feedback and I'm always open to bounce back on what I'm saying. So
Yeah, I try to come from a place of realism, but I also understand that my reactions to things will be stronger than I always do this. Average player doesn't, it's not a demoralizing term, just the average player. My reactions will always be stronger than the average player because I know life this game. Like this is my primary video game. I just got my Switch 2. I've been playing some Mario Kart World, catching up on my Animal Crossings Island. However, this is my main game. So decisions that are made for this game do in some ways directly impact me. When I
yeah,
close
I
the game down, I don't take it with me, but like it will impact my experience for that day while playing the game. And I don't think the average player is shaken that much by a bad decision.
no, but I will say, at least for me, and maybe it is for you, there is an ulterior motive for me talking about the game the way that I do and wanting the game to be better because when people's interest in the game wanes in June,
It's not good for anybody.
their no their
For
people
us, especially.
their interest in my content wanes in
Yeah.
June. So when MLB The Show is good, it is also good for me.
Hmm.
And when MLB The Show is bad, it is also bad for me, which is why I speak up and say, I need you guys to put out better things so people are engaged with your game, so they're going to engage with my content.
Hmm.
But also because I want to be able to play a fun game too. So it's like it does come from a self-interested location, both in the need for interest in my content, but also because I want to play a fun and engaging game. But that doesn't make it any less valid.
Yeah. It's it's tough because I so very much understand that not every card is made for me. The swings I say are the worst swings on the planet Earth are someone's favorite swings. It doesn't make them wrong. It certainly makes them outliers because most swings are universally appreciated or
Hmm.
not appreciated. Um, but like, I think we all need to use our heads a little bit in both directions and just realize complaints like the ones we have are not coming from a place of I want this to happen so I can easily get this. I truly, and you can think I'm being disingenuous or you could see that I'm trying to tell the truth to you guys here. I very much appreciate the platform that this community has allowed me to have. And I am trying to speak up for the greater good at all times. This is not, other than the fact I want, like Nutsy said, I want people to keep viewing my stuff because it's good for the wallet. But like otherwise, there's no self-interest here. I want this game to be good so it's good for everybody. I want the floor to be raised so we can all have access to better cards and level that playing field between the people with the stubs and all the collections done like I have versus somebody who doesn't have a ton of time. I want the people who play an hour a day max, and sometimes they can't even get an hour a day. I want them to have access to at least slightly better cards. I don't need them to have the top of the top, but that floor's gotta be raised. And ultimately, that's the hill I'll die on.
Yeah, I I will 100% agree on that. I understand because I finished Live Series Collection very early in the game, and I finished Scott Rowland basically on day one, and I finished the other collections. Not every content drop is going to have a card that makes my team.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be 4 months before I have a new center fielder or a new first baseman. Scott Rowland's going to get replaced the first opportunity
Oh,
he
I
is
love Scott.
nah,
I
I'm not
love
here for
Scott.
that. But I understand that. I understand when they drop a first base, it is very unlikely to make my team.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what it is. So when I speak up and say I want cards to be better and I want content to be better, I am not talking about my own team and what I want to make my team. I understand I have Gil Hodges. That's going to be my first baseman, regardless of who they dropped. It's a 92 or 93 overall. It just is what it is. And like you said, I want the player who is jumping on after a long day of work, has a couple hours to grind, to be able to have a fun, engaging, usable card that allows them to jump online and compete. Like I don't think a situation where there is haves and have nots in video game world is good for anyone.
Mm-hmm. And we could still skill lock stuff. We're not talking about that. Like skill locked things are okay. Wallet locked things, that's a very different conversation.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yep. And I mean, realistically, like I see like the top of the top players, like some of the comp guys saying, well, I should get rewarded for being better at the game. I deserve to have these better cards. But the only mode that people are regularly playing at this point is ranked.
And those
Those
cards suck.
people and those people are playing all themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and this is not a shot at them, but two names that people know, like Frosty and Kreiner are playing each other, they're both going to have the best cards
Yeah.
anyways. The people who are playing in the 400s or 500s who don't have the collections done are just going to be playing each other. So like what is the harm in giving people the same cards? The people you're playing in your similar skill are
Mm-hmm.
very likely going to have the same cards as you. If you have the best cards, they're likely going to have the best cards. If you have less good cards, they're likely going to have less good cards. Like
Yeah. It's a great
that's
point.
how things work out ultimately on this game. I will say, I know we need to wrap this up soon, but I do want again point out I think that the multiplayer program has been bad for the game as a
Mhm.
whole. I it
I've
has
come
it,
around to that. I don't know if you saw what I posted a few weeks ago, where in the
yeah.
beginning I was like, I kind of can see this, I like this, but it has had so many unintended negative consequences for this game. It's either it has to change a little bit and tweak a little bit, or we just got to go back to getting rid of it.
Yeah, and I don't if there was still the ranked or if there was still the BR program, I understand that only point five. I was shocked that even the drop to 800, there's still only 0.5% of players making World Series every season,
It's
which
crazy.
is
I
crazy to
I
me.
feel like I've seen more icons than ever before, and that's a good
Yeah.
thing. I'm okay with that.
But I mean, if you want to keep the program, that's completely okay. But you have to add back event rewards and you have to add back the BR program because the only time I play events is specifically to warm up to play ranked, and the only I have not touched BR a single time this year.
I went
I,
20
I
times flawless 2 years ago, and I haven't opened BR in a month, and it's June. Like, that's
yeah
not good. But the rewards haven't been worth it either, so I've had zero incentive to go and chase somebody. But between the connection in BR being clearly noticeably worse than ranked, and between the fluke and between the lack of other incentives, why would I? Why would I have any reason to open it?
Yeah, and I understand when they came out with the multiplayer program and when it was explained to us, it was like let people play how they want to play. And I
Not a bad idea.
ranted and raved about it on Twitter when they announced it. In the opposite, I said this is going to be bad for the game. Taking away the BR program and taking away event rewards is going to be bad for the game. Like when they announced that, I chose to die on that hill. Everyone was hyped about the game coming out, and I'm like, listen, this multiplayer program is going to be an issue. And a few months later, it has played out that way because you have ran the casuals completely out of BR. The only people are playing in BR now are the sweatiest of the sweatiest people who can go flawless and use that as a stub making method. And you have completely made events worthless. It is just a boost fest, bro.
Yeah.
I get into a game, I get a message saying, "Can you just throw me a couple home runs and I'll quit the game?" And it's
Mhm.
like I don't know what you do about it. I have said I think that if you want to keep it this way, what you should do is add BR wins, event wins, and ranked wins in the multiplayer
As
program
points. Yeah.
path. Yep. And you could still gatekeep things to say like, okay, you have these extra points that
You
are
just wouldn't
stacked.
have to do the missions that came out for that part.
Correct.
Yeah.
But like unless you incentivize people to actually play a game mode, people aren't going to play it. The only online game mode worth a damn to play this year is ranked.
Mhm. Which, this is not copium. We have been asking for years, either make ranked worth it or make it like make me want to play ranked seasons. And I do. This is the first time in a few years I've actually wanted to. Weekend Classic helps, of course,
Mm-hmm.
because every 4 weeks I am playing 10 ranked games in the span of 3 or 4 days. So that for sure helps. That's a good thing. But I was hoping it wouldn't come at the cost of two other modes that are otherwise events. That was my mode, man. I was an events
Mm-hmm.
demon because it's fun and there's low stakes and there were decent rewards. You could make stubs. You could try new cards. That's the best
Yeah,
part about it. You could try new
that was the biggest one
cards.
for me. That was the big I loved trying out a card that I didn't want to roll into ranked because I didn't
Hmm.
want to have someone who was going to suck on my
Like
team.
all
And
those Color Storm guys, I would
yeah,
have abused them in events.
me too. And I would have given him a try. And then after playing a few events game, be like, okay, this guy's God Squad worthy.
Hmm.
Based on how I play with him and based on his swing, this is a card that I can take into ranked and be completely fine. And there's no want to do that in events because I'm just wasting my time. Like I'm just playing games for the sake of playing games. And that's not how
Yeah.
I enjoy playing video games.
Like I had to do, and this is what everybody's doing. So I'm not trying to say like, oh, woe is me. I did 500 PXP with every single Color Storm guy. I got
Mhm.
it done. I've been no life grinding because the pack and you know choice pack rewards you get through the TA
It's
path
crazy.
are
Yeah.
excellent. So TA largely pretty good this year,
Mhm.
but I did all of it against the CPU in Colorado, and like 30 teams, 30 minutes a pop in Colorado. That's just lifeless,
Mhm.
no brain grinding. Maybe that's fun for some people, and if it is, that's great for you. Truly, that's good. For me, I'd like a little bit more engagement, which is where I could have done all that in events, had a little bit of a competitive edge. I can't just fall asleep at the wheel, and I could actually probably make the progress even quicker because online attributes or online PXP rather accrues faster.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and I do want to give we have been very negative for a good chunk of this conversation. I do want to give STS their flowers on some things. I do think I personally have liked Team Affinity, while I know others have not enjoyed it as much. I personally have enjoyed the pipeline and the color storm
Mhm.
drops. There's been a lot of content drops this year that I've really, really enjoyed.
Yes.
So me harping on the negative ones doesn't mean, once again, that I don't enjoy the game or I'm hating every second I have playing this game. It's just pointing out the inconsistencies and trying to make the games better. And the final point that I'll make there is, I'm so tired of people coming into my comments or coming into my chat and saying, obviously you haven't played Ultimate Team, or obviously you haven't played NBA 2K My Team, because you guys have it incredibly better than EA and 2K does. Because my response to that is, we want to prevent MLB The Show from turning into those other games.
Yes.
Those other game modes were not always the way they are. It was a boiling frog situation where over time they knew they could get away with more, and they kept pushing the envelope and pushing the envelope and pushing the envelope until you end up with the final product they currently have. What we as a community, I think more so than a lot of other communities do, is push back on the developers very hard when they make decisions and make changes to content that we as a community don't like.
Mhm.
And for what it's worth, I think that SDS has been very open and reasonable when it comes to making changes
They have
when
been.
we give them feedback. And
Everyone says
that
they don't listen. They do. They
yeah, I
listen.
will I will give them their flowers on that every day of the week, because they are reactive, and when we don't like something, there's changes coming to it. We saw it um with the retro lightning drop this time, changing
Mhm.
the requirements for it and
With
making
a
that
lot
card a
more
lot
packs
more
involved as well.
correct. Yeah, and having a bunch of those spotlight packs kind of strewn everywhere that you
Mhm.
can unlock to have more chances to get those pipeline cards. And we saw it really big after the first season on MLB The Show 24, where they completely scrapped the XP model, changed how they did XP, changed how they handed out the bosses, changed the requirements on collections. When we as a community push back on them, historically they have come to our aid to a certain extent and made changes to make the game better. And that's ultimately where I think the disconnect between SDS and EA and 2K is, because EA and 2K is just like, nah, we're going to push the envelope and y'all can go F
Well,
yourselves.
and that's what they're doing now, with kind of tying it all back here to where we started with the pipeline past. The special insert player is effectively a second chase card. So
Correct.
every 2 weeks, we're getting two chase cards. One is labeled as a chase card, one is not. The odds of we could probably look the odds up, but they're probably pretty similar to pull the guy. Something's got to give there. We got to punt special insert entirely. We have to make it so if you collect the special insert player, it counts as 3 in the voucher as opposed to 1. We've got to level it out so it's not a requirement, but it is still beneficial to be there. So I don't know. If you add more cards to the collection, that de-incentivizes people ever buying the special insert in general, so they're never going to do that. And I don't necessarily think they have to do that, but I don't know. That's been the kicker for me lately, is
Well,
the special inserts lack of availability.
I'm going to push back on you a little bit on that, because I think if you still make the special inserts very good cards, and if someone wants to go out and get it, it counts as a carded collection. That's completely okay, because then you're in the situation of the Easter program. And everyone agreed Jorge Polanco was a sick card, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people wanted that card, but you didn't have to lock it in the collection. If the
True.
special insert on its own
They'll still
face
go get it.
is
That's
a
fair.
good card,
Yeah.
then yeah, people will go get it, and then it gives you credit for the collection. So it's like killing two birds with one
Mm-hmm.
stone. You
That's
get a
fair.
cool card for your team, and it also counts for the collection. But I don't think that it should be a requirement to lock in. And I will say, I hate, 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 hate what they have done with chase packs this year.
They
Like the fact
stink.
that we
Every
are
two
getting,
weeks, way too much.
dude, it's not even every 2 weeks
It's like
anymore.
10
It's
days.
every week
Yeah.
we are getting a new chase pack. And like it was every 2 weeks at the beginning of the year, but since like Randy Johnson, when they dropped that right before or the same day as the first weekend classic,
Those bastards.
basically since then we have gotten chase packs weekly. And I will say sometimes I think that they corrected themselves to a lesser extent. Willie Castro was so much better than every other card in the game. It was glaringly obvious that they were just trying to make chase packs as good
Mm-hmm.
as they possibly could. I will say since then, the Cedric Mullins,
He was bad.
Vlad, and
The Vlad's okay.
Acuna.
I get it, and Acuna's
Yeah,
okay, but they're not
that's
so overpowered.
exactly, and that feels like them tacitly acknowledging like we made Willie Castro too good. Like
Yeah.
we went too far on that card.
That
So
was
make
that's the 93 headliner Ketel Marte of 2025,
correct.
just
Yeah,
times 10 the cost.
correct. And it happened to it was I think it was MLB The Show 21. We got two headliners that year that were just like so far and away better than every other headliner. It was Carlos Santana, his
Mm-hmm.
SIG series Cleveland card, and Andrew Miller that year. Then that both of those cards were like so much better than every other headliner. And I think that's what happened with Willie Castro. And they're like, whoa, let's roll back a little bit.
Yeah.
So I guess that's positive, but I preferred if you're going to do chase packs, I liked the MLB The Show 22 the model or 22 model where you knew it was going to be like one a month.
And I think
So if
that's
you
fine. Like I don't you could do it, and I'm okay with this. Every time you do a Legends of Flashbacks content update, you also get a shiny new chase card to go after.
yeah,
If you time them up, or you do it on alternating 2 week cycles where, or 3 week cycles maybe, because it's usually every 6 weeks you get a collection, that's fine too.
yeah, and you could set it up. It's an easy if you set it up that it was going to drop at the beginning of every inning and made it like one overall better than the inning boss, you would basically have a full month where you were working towards the best card of the inning,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you get that card, the next inning would drop. You'd have like a very good card at the beginning of the next inning and would have one card to work towards throughout that whole inning. And that way you're still getting good cards and the chase pack cards are good, but you're not forcing people to shell out 250,000 stubs a week to get them. And it gives like I put on Twitter the other day, it's good to have a carrot to chase after on
Mm-hmm.
MLB The Show. What is not good is when you have 100 carrots to chase after and you need them all to be able to get an even bigger carrot.
Yeah.
And that's the situation we're in right now.
So the final thing I want to just mention for a couple minutes here, we have spent a lot of time poo-pooing the poo-poo, which is fair. But the content volume this year has been very good. I
Mhm.
have not felt bored.
No.
The past few years, your boy's been bored. So the content volume is good. And even though the content cards themselves are not always great, the volume of cards and the variety of cards is strong. It is rare I run into the same ranked lineup even like once every 5 games. Like, yeah, you've got your cornerstone. I say cornerstone, not meaning the card series. You have your cornerstone guys like Beltran and Gill, or maybe it's Castro, or maybe it's now James Wood and Bryce Harper, Carlos Santana. Like, you will have a collection of those type of guys, but largely I'm like, oh, that's a cool shortstop you're running, or like, hey, you don't have Roland, but that third baseman's different. Like,
Yeah.
this is the first year in a while, like they thought sets and seasons would accomplish that. It did not. This power creep is actually accomplishing variety. I think there could be more if more of the cards were better, but like there are decent things happening with the content right now. So I do have to acknowledge that.
For sure. Lineup diversity is maybe the best that it's ever been. You're right. I load into every ranked game and are surprised about one or two cards in the person I'm playing's lineup or the pitcher that they're using that I'm like, I have never seen this dude, period, in
Mm-hmm.
any of my time at MLB The Show. And I think they are doing a very good job. Last 23 and 24, the like only dropping content on Fridays was
And it was
brutal
homework
for
content,
those.
so it
Yeah,
wasn't even good content.
and like the 6 days in between you're like, man, I'm gonna have to force myself to jump on the game if I want to play. But the fact that we are getting multiple content drops, and it's not just a guarantee that the best content drop of the week is going to be on a Friday, because although we agree that the content wasn't good, the fact that there was a beefy content drop on a Wednesday for Pipeline
That is a
Pass,
good thing.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff is good. I 100% agree that they are putting out content at a very good rate, and they're not just data dumping us one day a week, and that in and of itself is good. And the lineup diversity this year is better than it's been maybe ever, and that's also good. I also feel like I am in a very large minority in saying I like how slow the power creep is. I like it. I like the fact that it's June and we still only have like 93s and 94s.
I think I don't necessarily hate it. I'd prefer it to go a tick faster, but the thing that will create the very strong opinions on how slow it is going is when so many cards are durability nerfed.
Sure.
That makes the slow creep even slower, because we're like, guys, if you take 5 durability points away, we've got a card on our hands, but now we've
Mhm.
got this piece of shit. So yes and no at the same time.
Yeah, I mean that's also acknowledging that if they built the cards well, it would be a lot more fun because there shouldn't be a situation where a 92 overall and an 87 overall are kind of on the same playing
Yeah.
field, especially when
Yes.
they're at the same position and it's not like some funky calculation that's going in that's making it different. Um, so yeah, I mean, but I like that it's kind of slow creeping. I've One thing that I think they accomplished really well this year is making the live series cards themselves, not even the collection cards, but making the live series cards viable for longer.
This is the
We
longest
had
they've been
Yeah,
active.
yeah, I still see like some live series cards in people's lineups, whether it be Judge or Shohei, and the fact that the game's been out for almost 3 months, 3 months next week, and we're still seeing live series cards in lineups, I think is really cool. We've been asking them to make live series more viable, so it wasn't just a collection fodder to get the bigger names, and I think they really accomplished that this year. Um, so kind of all of those things, definitely we can give MLB the Show its flowers, and I do really want to leave this on the final statement to say, even though I have said a lot of negative things in this podcast. As a whole, I am still enjoying MLB The Show 25. As a whole, this game is still has still been fun to me, and that really is the takeaway that I hope people have. Is like I want changes to occur. There are some things that really bother me about things that they've done, but at the end of the day, I am still enjoying my time with this game.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is nuanced thought, which we should all try to have more often. Uh, but yeah, listen, I don't assemble the content creator Avengers over 2 days of podcasts in the same week to have a glowing rainbow conversation, but we can include the positive when we are talking about the negative. So, like, yes, this was spurned by negativity last Wednesday. They rope a doped us with good content on Friday, or largely good content. It wasn't perfect either, but it was much better. Um, and yes, largely still enjoying this video game. But we will speak up, as we all should, in a respectful way when things aren't going hot. Even if they course correct, we could still call out the things that ain't great and just hope for more consistency. It's really what we want. So, Nutsy, thank you as always for hopping on.
Real
You're going to
quick
say, go ahead,
before
go
we go,
ahead, go
just
ahead.
one thing. Um, Along those same lines, if you are going to criticize the game or do collective criticism or some sort of critical feedback on the game, please, for the love of God, keep it respectful. Like
Yes.
there is no reason to take personal shots at any of the devs. There's no reason to take personal shots at any of the content creators because they have a differing opinion on what they believe the game is or should be versus what you do. It's always good to give critical feedback and to give as much feedback as humanly possible to make it as good as possible, but you don't have to be a jackass about it. So don't take shots at the devs. Don't take shots at content creators. Don't take shots at one another. Just give your feedback about the game.
I would like to introduce everybody to something I learned in like second or third grade. And I don't remember what this method is called, but it has personally worked for me in the past. When you receive a product you are unhappy with, this was in the day of letter writing, because I'm old. You would start your letter with, "Hi, company. I usually love your products." You start with the positive. And then you go, "But I was really disappointed with this one for X, Y, and Z." Then at the end, "Because I enjoy your product so much, I really hope we can remedy this situation." You go positive, negative, positive. That has worked for me in getting refunds, in getting upgraded stuff, in getting, like, that is the appropriate way to provide feedback. Usually big fan of your stuff. Don't lie. Wasn't big fans of this for this reason. I'd love to keep being fans of your stuff. What can we do to make this better? That is how you give constructive feedback. Um, so here, go write letters to companies you're upset about, and maybe they'll first of all they'll see a letter and be like, "What the hell is this?" But then second of all, they might help you out. So we rambled here at the end, but it was worth it. Fun podcast as always. Nutsy, thank you. Appreciate you. Hope you guys like this. Like, subscribe, comment your thoughts down below, either in agreement or disagreement. We welcome all thoughts here. Just be respectful. And that's that. So good luck with the collection later this week, guys. Thank you. Love you. See you next time.